Winter. Bitter. Forbidding. Deadly. But not everything freezes in the winter. In the chill of winter, America's national parks transform into landscapes draped in crystalline beauty. To the far north lies the gates of the Arctic, America's national park that spends many of the months frozen. In fall, instantly the valleys are aflame with color. Red flags reminding all living things that there is urgent business to attend to, because the snows could be days away. Throughout the fall, there is the usual noisy rush to reproduce and eat enough to get through the winter. By November, snow covers the summits of the Brooks Range, and the gates of the Arctic becomes as deadly as it is breathtaking. There are three ways to deal with the cold: migrate, hibernate, or tough it out. Many, like the wolf, have no choice but to persevere in the bleak Arctic expanse. In the long twilight of late autumn outside the park along Alaska's northern coast, polar bears kill time because they can't kill prey until the ice freezes. These endangered giants are trapped by warming oceans. Each year, it seems their ice road to the fat seals they crave forms later and later. But the backup at the shore can cause trouble. Mothers with small cubs need to be especially wary. Male bears sometimes kill and eat cubs. And this hungry young male is too close for comfort. And here comes another voracious giant. When males are fasting, tempers flare. Conflict is coming. Mother wisely escorts her cubs away. Usually males just play fight while waiting for the ice that will take them to the seals and end their season of fasting. But the ice is coming later and later each year. Mom has also gone for months without food, living off the fat she accumulated during the spring bounty of seal pups on the ice. But still, she's patient with her youngsters. Her milk is incredibly rich, nearly a third fat, about 8 times as much as human milk. She'll let them nurse for up to 2 years. For now, all they can do is wait for the ice. But while the warming seas circulating up from the south refuse to freeze, the polar air grows colder and colder. The gates of the Arctic is one of the coldest places in the U.S. Some survivors of the Ice Age are perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions. By 1900, the extraordinary muskox had been exterminated in Alaska. 3 decades later, 34 of them were reintroduced from Greenland. Today, there are around 4,000 of them in Alaska, and some have reached the gates of the Arctic National Park. Their coats have the longest fur of any American mammal, and an undercoat 8 times warmer than sheep's wool. Their barrel-shaped bodies and stumpy legs minimize heat loss in the bone-cracking cold. As the months of winter pass, only the hardiest of creatures will be able to survive out in the open, seemingly resigned to their fate. The fantastical northern lights billow and twist all winter above the Brooks Range. Some native peoples believe the northern lights are the dancing spirits of the dead. Science has an equally otherworldly explanation. These sheets of light happen when charged particles from the sun, caught by the Earth's magnetic field, stream down at the poles, where they react with the atmosphere. Either way, they are enchanting. In the Grand Canyon, winter changes everything. Mountain lion cubs born in the spring are now perfectly capable of hunting for themselves. And this one is even unwilling to share with his long-suffering mother. Tensions at this dinner table run high. Don't they always, with a surly adolescent around? Once weaned, mountain lions are fiercely solitary. Males generally keep to their own territories. Now, he's a killer in his own right. And she gives him his due. The mists off the Pacific now often change to snow. A dusting on the south rim, sometimes blizzards in the north. As ever, it is the raven, living by his wits, who seems to find humor in every season and every situation. Unimpressed by the greatness of his surroundings, unhumbled by the world's greatest gorge, the heart-stopping immensity, and the transcendent beauty of Grand Canyon National Park. It's late winter in America's first national park. Yellowstone is a melting pot of savage beauty created by one of the biggest explosions ever to rock the earth. And its violent heart still smolders, blowing off steam through some 300 geysers, more than anywhere else in the world. The most famous geyser, Old Faithful, hurls hot water 45 meters into the air, venting its rage every 60 to 90 minutes. That's how long it takes to build up enough pressure to turn groundwater into explosive steam. The winter itself is far more deadly than any predators. 1 out of 10 bison will die before the season is done. For this mother-to-be, it's a particularly hard time. The scarcity of food means many are starving. With weary, massive heads, they plow through 1.5-meter drifts in search of anything edible. They are the last truly wild bison in the United States. Some 30 million of them once blanketed the American plains. It could take 6 days for a single herd to pass you by. But by 1900, only a heartbreaking 24 clung to life in the center of the park, the last refugees of a century of persecution. Protected in 1902, they've slowly rebounded to about 5,000 today. But in a terrible winter, their numbers could crash. With the bison carcass picked clean, the Lamar wolf pack's spectacular alpha female is on the lookout for more meat. And an elk calf has strayed from its herd. With the power and cunning born of long experience, she's like a heat-seeking missile. This is a slippery slope. The death of the elk calf means a reprieve for our pregnant bison. But for how long? In winter, the alchemy of heat below and cold above makes Yellowstone look like a different planet. Even at 45 degrees below, there's magic in the air. Extreme sub-zero temperatures in a cloudless sky sometimes result in a fascinating phenomenon. The formation of delicate ice crystals known as diamond dust. Some bison have devised a special strategy. Hot springs give off heat, enabling grass to grow. A hassle-free spa package at minus 30 degrees Celsius. Winter is in slow retreat in Yellowstone's own Grand Canyon. Warmer temperatures unleash the frozen lower falls, twice the height of Niagara. And someone else is being unleashed too. Just out of hibernation, a young bear can't resist the aroma of fresh carrion. A second grizzly has beaten him to it, the carcass of yet another bison that didn't make it through the winter. After spending more than 4 months in their dens, they're eager to find some food. Bears lose up to 1/3 of their body weight during hibernation, and they're ravenous. Something's gotta give. Grizzlies would rather intimidate than fight. There's just too much risk of injury in bear-on-bear violence. Standing up to your full height is meant to impress. Oops. The owner of the carcass decides to show him how it's done. But when rituals fail, violence is inevitable. Hungry bears are violent bears. The pair is closely matched and equally desperate for a post-hibernation feast. A fight like this is a rare sight in Yellowstone. With a final slap, the newcomer tells his rival to shove off and claims his grisly prize. To the south lies a national park filled with icons, Yosemite. And in 1864, President Lincoln signed a bill to keep the place wild forever. The last days of winter are tough on many animals in the park, some of whom are literally on their last legs and starving. Coyotes often reap this sad harvest, sniffing out the carcasses of those who didn't make it till spring. There's zero chance of eating in peace here, though. Ravens are bad enough. But this bird is a real recipe for indigestion. The golden eagle. Perhaps it's best to take a nice cut of meat somewhere quieter. But when the eagle spots his chance, the coyote won't tolerate it, and an extraordinary battle begins. The eagle has a terrifying 7-foot wingspan. And look out for those 3-inch talons. They can dispatch a deer or a dog. But the coyote has the weight advantage and finally prevails. But not for long. The cawing Greek chorus will eventually get their share. The snows of winter evaporate into the mists of spring. And the shadowy bobcat emerges, with an apprentice killer in tow. Mother is an old hand at this. The kitten mirrors her every move. The huntress demonstrates the finer points. Watch for the tiniest tremor. Listen for the slightest scritching. And pounce. That the voles sometimes get away is part of the education. If at first you don't succeed, try again. There you go. Mom's kill leads to a rousing game of keep away. This sharpens the youngster's ability to chase. And while her kitten eats, perhaps Mom will find her own lunch. But no, there's another kitten waiting in the wings. And the merry-go-round starts all over again. Kids. Sometimes it seems like they'll never leave home. In the east, the Great Smoky Mountains are gearing up for the deep freeze. By mid-autumn, most days dawn with a coating of frost. The combination of humid air and cold nights leaves the highest peaks, including Clingman's Dome, looking like winter has already barged in. Below, the Smokies still blaze with color. With more than 100 kinds of trees, nature colors the park with a big box of crayons. The red pigment appears early on maples and sweet gums, but it's not just for show. It's produced by a chemical that protects the aging leaves so they can hang on a little longer. Beeches and hickory finally show their true color, yellow. Uncovered as the leaves begin to break down, and the chlorophyll that tinted them green fades away. As the weather turns, plants and animals alike respond to the same cues. Turkey vultures gather on their migration south. The Smokies also yield a bumper crop of nuts. This bear mom trades summer carbs for autumn fats. Her last chance to pack on pounds for the winter. Through sheer jaw power, she can crack nuts as hard as hickories. On a diet of acorns, she may gain up to 5 pounds a day, roaming from grove to grove in what park biologists call the fall shuffle. Her cubs have stopped nursing, so she holds on to even more of her weight. Any day now, the whole family will retire to a cozy den for their long winter's nap. But the biggest star in the park has yet to walk on stage. In Great Smoky Mountains National Park, you can find yourself in a picture out of a fairy tale. But these pictures actually come to life. Fall is also the season when wild turkeys start to fight. Once more, the meadow becomes an arena as males vie for breeding rights. The call to battle. A face-off between brothers to see who's stronger. If neither backs down, this'll get ugly. Besides beaks, males deploy a turkey stiletto, a spur on the back leg up to 2 inches long. The loser. To the victor belong the you-know-whats. The year's coming to an end. The hummingbirds have flown. The elk have mated. The bears have denned. Soon a mantle of snow will blanket the park, and the surge of tourists will shrivel like an autumn leaf. That's when you notice that in the Great Smokies, time not only freezes, it turns back. To build the park meant assembling a vast patchwork of land, like the pieces of a mountain quilt. Buying out the humans and turning it over to the wildlife, turning tame land back into wilderness. The writer Thomas Wolfe, born in these very mountains, said, "You can't go home again." But like the elk, the Smokies prove him wrong. Yes, you can. It's not just the Smokies that transform in the months of fall. Autumn has come to Yosemite, The mists and the slanting light tell of leaner times to come. The social and affectionate coyotes make the most of their time in the sun. Usually they live in tight-knit nuclear families, with the adults doting on the youngsters. And they're very vocal canines, keeping up a constant chatter of yips, yelps, whines, and howls. Their Latin name actually means barking dog. Coyotes are often mistaken for wolves, but wolves have long been extinct in California and never really took up residence in Yosemite, so the coyotes are top dog here. For now, they hunt alone, going after little rodents, though they may team up to bring down bigger prey, even young or injured deer. The colors are starting to turn, and the mule deer grow restless. The rut is on the horizon. Hormones make everyone a little boisterous, male and female, young and old. The mother bobcat now strays further and further from her kittens, who are becoming fairly self-sufficient, though still close pals. The kittens don't know it yet, but their carefree days are numbered. Fall is coming, and they're in for a rude surprise. These bobcat kittens need to become self-sufficient little killers. The cruel realities of late autumn will soon arrive, and Mother is growing less attentive to their needs and more concerned with her own. Mother will leave them more and more often to fend for themselves. Now the heights of Yosemite are capped with white, and damp, bone-chilling mist rolls through the valleys, turning to snow. Though all of Yosemite has been shaped and polished by glaciers, the great flows of ice have long retreated to the very highest tips of the park, on Mount Lyell and Mount McClure at around 13,000 feet. For coyotes, winter is the season when love is in the air. Coyotes are monogamous, so finding the right chemistry is vital. The male patiently trails after the female until she's ready. And she's not exactly coy. A twitch of the tail to one side, and he's got his answer. Coyote pregnancies last 2 months, and at the end of winter, she'll give birth to 6 or so pups. And he'll be a doting family man. Our bobcat mother, on the other hand, gets to spend more time on her own and seems to be making the most of her newfound freedom. She may wait for a few more months to mate, have her way with several males, and raise her kittens alone in the glories of spring. In the shadow of the living giants of the park, where the alchemy of rock and water has carved the matchless, immense cradle of Yosemite National Park. In late September, in the gates of the Arctic, the park's giants are everywhere. A moose in his prime weighs 1,000 pounds and stands 7 feet at the shoulder. His rack alone measures 6 feet and weighs more than 75 pounds. He's looking for love. The females are becoming receptive. And the males follow them like besotted puppies. When she lets him put his head on her, she's ready. But an old bull has materialized out of the woods. This means war. In the fall, fights between bull moose can be fatal. The first bull shows off his strength and rack. The challenger seems unfazed, despite his lopsided antlers. The time for display is over. The sounds of antlers clashing can be heard a mile away. Battles can last for hours. But this newcomer quickly realizes that he's out of his depth and quits the field. The female waits. Winners get to do 90% of the mating. Afterwards, the bull enjoys a well-earned rest. rut is exhausting. His rack grows heavy, and there's a long, bleak winter ahead. Already, cold air is cascading down the slopes of the Brooks Range, and the landscape begins to solidify. The freeze-up is late this year, the time when rivers harden into ice roads. The sun starts to hug the horizon. The long twilight is not far off. Ice crystals in the air give birth to sundogs, stunning halos visible to either side. The last thing to freeze will be the Arctic Sea north of the park, but it too is late again. The polar bears can only wait. The backup at the coast brings a chance for these normally solitary beasts to socialize and to rest. They're professionals when it comes to conserving energy. Only the young males have energy to spare, and they engage in some good-natured sparring. Come spring, they may badly hurt each other over a female, but this is all in good fun. Some young males are lazier than others. This guy is still nursing, even though he's bigger than his mother is. He's over 2.5 years old now, the age when polar bear mothers start cutting the apron strings. But he's not taking the hint. Even when it's more than just a hint. Soon, she will have no patience for her big baby. It's for his own good. Finally, the sea is freezing over. Alaska's most northern gate to the Arctic has opened. It is time he inherited his kingdom, the kingdom of the ice. Winter's grasp never lasts forever. Its cruel, biting hold on the landscapes eventually melts. Leading to a new season of growth and rebirth.